In Chapter 1, Georgia Peach begins her first day as an intern at Cartwright Enterprises. After a tense encounter with a rude, handsome stranger in the lobby, she learns he's actually her new boss, Sebastian Cartwright, the vice president. Despite his arrogance and cold demeanor, Georgia tries to stay positive, following her grandmother's advice to kill him with kindness. She impresses her supervisor, Victoria, by showing initiative, beautifying the conference room with flowers and cupcakes she baked herself. During a major client meeting with Gulf Oil, one of the executives, Ben Eiler, becomes enamored with her cupcakes and offers to back her future bakery. Sebastian's jealousy and irritation grow as Georgia accepts Ben's order for a birthday party, marking her first potential client. The chapter ends with Georgia's optimism intact despite Sebastian's coldness, setting up the tension and attraction between them. In Chapter 2, Sebastian Cartwright's point of view reveals his conflicted attraction to Georgia Peach. Despite finding her cheerful attitude irritating, he's physically drawn to her and battles inappropriate fantasies. After teasing her late at work, Sebastian learns her grandmother died and briefly feels remorse. His past relationships, 4 failed engagements, have made him cynical and emotionally closed off. The next morning, he struggles with anxiety over his father's impending retirement and pressure to prove he's ready to become CEO. When his father demands he spend a month at the family ranch over Christmas or lose the position to his brother, Sebastian reluctantly agrees. Frustrated, he resolves to endure it for the promotion. Back at work, he notices Georgia again, tempted despite himself. When she catches the cupcake he threw away, she hides her hurt and points out an error in his spreadsheet, proving her competence and leaving him unsettled. In Chapter 3, Georgia spends her first Thanksgiving alone since her grandmother's death. After her only friend Melanie cancels due to illness, Georgia struggles with loneliness but recalls her grandmother's advice to turn lemons into lemonade. She finishes cooking, delivers food to Melanie's family, and then cheers herself up by baking 6 dozen chocolate fudge cupcakes for work. The next morning, she brings them to the office and collides with Sebastian, accidentally smearing frosting on his suit. Their interaction turns unexpectedly intimate as he teases her into tasting the frosting from her fingers, sparking undeniable tension. When he regains composure, Sebastian closes the conference room door and tells her he has a proposal. To Georgia's shock, he offers to fund her dream bakery, if she agrees to marry him until January 2nd. The chapter ends with Georgia stunned by his unexpected and audacious offer. In Chapter 4, Sebastian reflects on Thanksgiving, admitting he spent the holiday working and impulsively ate several of Georgia's cupcakes, realizing they're incredible. Still battling guilt and obsession, he's reminded of his family ultimatum. He must spend December at home or lose the CEO position to his brother. When his mother begins sending him photos of potential matches, Sebastian panics. He'd lied about already having a girlfriend. To maintain the illusion and secure his promotion, he decides he needs a fake wife for the holidays. As he struggles to find someone suitable, he realizes Georgia is perfect, beautiful, kind, and capable of convincing his family she loves him. After she accidentally smears frosting on his suit, he seizes the moment, proposing a deal. Marry him until January 2nd in exchange for $100,000 to open her bakery. Georgia is shocked and disgusted, but Sebastian is determined to make her accept. In Chapter 5, Georgia reels from Sebastian's shocking marriage proposal and spends the morning debating whether to accept. Tempted by the offer of $100,000 but conflicted by her morals, she weighs her pros and cons before deciding to negotiate. When Sebastian assigns her a project, clearly referencing the proposal, she resolves to confront him. Meeting him in his office, where he's exercising shirtless, Georgia demands $3 million, explaining she has bigger dreams than a single bakery. They argue and negotiate intensely, eventually settling on $1 million for a fake marriage lasting 33 days. Georgia sets firm boundaries. No sex and complete honesty between them. To seal the deal, she makes Sebastian eat one of her cupcakes and give his honest opinion, which he admits is delicious. Satisfied, Georgia agrees, and Sebastian tells her to prepare for their departure Monday morning, making their fake engagement official. In Chapter 6, Sebastian contacts his family's lawyer, Huck Peterson, to secretly draft a prenup for his fake marriage to Georgia. He explains his father's ultimatum, spend December at the family ranch or lose the CEO position to his brother, and insists Huck keep it quiet. Sebastian instructs him to include a clause granting Georgia $1 million upon annulment, but secretly adds loopholes so he can pay less. He also includes conditions: no cheating, mandatory family participation, and public displays of affection. After reviewing the draft, Sebastian sends the prenup to Georgia. When she doesn't respond right away, his frustration and obsession with her grow. Their text exchange shows Georgia resisting his control and rejecting his flirtatious comments, while Sebastian continues to push boundaries and fantasize about her. Determined to get his way, he vows that Georgia will sign the contract and eventually become his in every sense $1 for a fake marriage lasting 33 days. Georgia sets firm boundaries, no sex, and complete honesty between them. To seal the deal, she makes Sebastian eat one of her cupcakes and give his honest opinion, which he admits is delicious. Satisfied, Georgia agrees, and Sebastian tells her to prepare for their departure Monday morning, making their fake engagement official. In Chapter 7, Georgia packs for her upcoming month at Sebastian's family ranch, battling guilt and second thoughts about marrying a man she barely knows. When her friend Melanie calls, Georgia lies about the trip, claiming it's for work experience, though Melanie suspects more. Afterward, Georgia reads Sebastian's barrage of impatient and flirtatious texts demanding she review the prenup. When she finally reads it, she notices the terms heavily favor Sebastian, with clauses forbidding her from cheating, criticizing him, or refusing public affection. Determined to protect herself, Georgia insists on revisions: mutual no-cheating terms, clarified family engagement requirements, and a precise definition of PDA. She also demands time to review the annulment papers. Sebastian reluctantly agrees, but informs her plans have changed. They'll leave Saturday, and the wedding will take place the following weekend with his entire family present. When Georgia admits she has no living relatives, the reality of her decision hits her hard. In Chapter 8, Sebastian arrives at Georgia's modest apartment to pick her up for the trip to his family's ranch. Disapproving of her rundown building and unlocked door, he decides she should move after their annulment, though he secretly plans to pay her far less than the promised $1 million. Inside, he gives her new designer luggage, insisting his wife should have only the best. Georgia pushes back against his arrogance, but the tension between them sparks. When their lawyer, Huck Peterson, arrives, Georgia carefully rereads the prenup before signing, and Sebastian signs after her. Once Huck leaves, Sebastian impulsively kisses Georgia, and the moment turns heated until she stops him, reminding him of their no-sex agreement. Trying to regain control, he gives her an expensive Tiffany engagement ring, which she reluctantly accepts. After collecting her cupcakes, they leave for the ranch, tension and desire simmering between them. In Chapter 9, Georgia and Sebastian begin their drive to his family's ranch in awkward silence, both still reeling from their kiss. To prepare for their fake marriage, they start asking personal questions. Their playful banter reveals mutual attraction as they discuss favorite colors, music, and food. When Georgia shares that her parents were country musicians who died in a bus crash, and that her grandparents later passed away, Sebastian shows rare empathy, softening the tension between them. The conversation turns to Sebastian's large family, his parents, Jacob and Ruby, and 7 siblings, and Georgia grows anxious about meeting them. Upon arrival at the Cartwright Ranch, the children welcome them warmly, and Sebastian introduces Georgia as his fiancée. In front of everyone, he announces their wedding will be the following Saturday, stunning his family. To sell the act, he kisses Georgia, leaving her flustered but secretly thrilled as their charade officially begins. In Chapter 10, Sebastian's mother eagerly begins wedding planning with Georgia, who cleverly reminds him of the engage with my family clause to force his participation. Amused and aroused by her confidence, Sebastian plays along, promising to discuss details in bed, which embarrasses her but wins over his family. Later, Sebastian's father takes him to the stables, assigning him to handle breeding contracts for their prize horse, Red Ruby, as part of preparing for his CEO role. Afterwards, Sebastian overhears his mother and sisters gossiping about his failed engagements, with Georgia gracefully defending him and earning their admiration. Feeling exposed and resentful, Sebastian lashes out at Georgia on the patio, accusing her of being like his exes. When she resists his advances, and he crudely asserts his PDA rights, Georgia slaps him and storms off in tears. Realizing he's crossed a line, Sebastian feels guilt and shame for hurting her. In Chapter 11, Georgia joins the Cartwrights for dinner, still angry with Sebastian after his disrespectful behavior. He silently mouths an apology as they eat, but she keeps her distance. When dessert time comes, he proudly presents her homemade cupcakes, winning his family's praise and revealing Georgia's dream to open a bakery. The family's warmth surprises her, and she learns Sebastian once struggled with childhood diabetes, explaining his avoidance of sweets. Later, during a family ornament-making tradition, Sebastian creates one with their initials, hinting at unexpected affection. That night, he apologizes sincerely for his earlier actions, admitting his anger stems from gossip about his failed engagements. Georgia encourages him to forgive his past, and they make peace. When it's time for bed, she insists he sleep on the floor, but he joins her instead. Despite her protests, they end up cuddling, their growing attraction undeniable, though both try to resist it. In Chapter 12, Sebastian struggles to resist his attraction to Georgia as they lie in bed together. Their teasing leads to a passionate kiss that quickly escalates, but Georgia stops him, reminding him their relationship isn't real. When Sebastian dismisses love as a fantasy, she's hurt, ending their intimacy for the night. Frustrated and unable to sleep, Sebastian works out with his brother Alexander, who points out that Georgia challenges him in ways his past fiancés never did. Their conversation turns tense when Sebastian lashes out about Alexander's late wife, leading to guilt and self-reflection. Later, a nightmare about Georgia leaving him shakes Sebastian awake. Panicked, he searches for her but finds her happily cooking breakfast with his family. When she reveals she's made sugar-free protein pancakes so he can eat safely, Sebastian is moved by her thoughtfulness, realizing she affects him more deeply than any woman before. In Chapter 13, Georgia nervously serves Sebastian the sugar-free protein pancakes she made with his nieces, worried he won't like them. When he finally tries them, he's shocked by how good they taste and thanks her sincerely, softening the tension between them. During breakfast, the family begins planning the wedding venue. Sebastian's sisters suggest extravagant locations, but Georgia insists on something simple and inexpensive. When she proposes holding it on the Cartwright Ranch, everyone agrees it's perfect, and Sebastian supports her idea wholeheartedly. His approval and tender gestures leave Georgia flustered, yet conflicted by her growing feelings. As his family warmly includes her in the planning, she feels increasingly guilty about deceiving them with their fake engagement. The chapter ends with Ruby announcing their next task, wedding dress shopping the following morning, while Georgia struggles to balance her excitement and the reminder that this marriage isn't real. In Chapter 14, Sebastian spends the morning helping his brothers train horses and cut down the family's massive Christmas tree, but can't stop thinking about Georgia. Remembering the pancakes she made for him, he feels guilty for how he's treated her and starts worrying about finding her the perfect Christmas gift. Later, when the tree is decorated, Georgia's joy draws his attention, and their playful chemistry grows stronger. Despite teasing and flirtation, she still manages to surprise him with her fear of heights, which he helps her overcome while placing the tree's star. Wanting to show her something special, Sebastian takes Georgia to a secret garden on the ranch and suggests it as their wedding spot. She's awestruck, calling it perfect. Their moment turns intimate until Georgia reminds him that her dream wedding would only happen with someone who truly loves her, something she insists he's incapable of, leaving him shaken. In Chapter 15, Georgia senses a shift in Sebastian's behavior after their emotional night in the secret garden. He's quieter and more distant, though she catches him holding her in his sleep early the next morning. When she wakes, he surprises her by announcing he's taking her on a date that evening. Later, Georgia joins Ruby and the Cartwright women to shop for her wedding dress, battling guilt over their fake engagement. At the boutique, gossip about Sebastian's past fiancés resurfaces, but Ruby fiercely defends her. Georgia finds a stunning lace gown that fits perfectly and selects matching shoes and bridesmaid dresses, inviting her best friend Melanie to be maid of honor despite the lies. When she returns to the ranch, Sebastian texts her, revealing he's left an outfit for their date, a casual, country-themed ensemble with boots and jeans. Touched by his thoughtful gift, Georgia admits it's perfect. In Chapter 16, Sebastian spends the day distracted, unable to focus on work as he thinks about Georgia. He buys her the perfect outfit for their date and later finds her playing board games with his nieces, further endearing her to his family and to him. When they leave for dinner at Simmer's, the best barbecue place in town, Sebastian notices how natural and radiant Georgia looks. At the restaurant, gossip about his past relationships resurfaces, but Georgia handles it gracefully. Their conversation grows personal as she challenges his views on family and happiness, making him confront how empty his life has become. Nancy, their waitress, reveals that Sebastian's ex-fiancée Molly ruined his former best friend Matteo financially, deepening George's sympathy and his discomfort. Despite his emotional turmoil, Sebastian flirts with Georgia, teasing her about a surprise date that he refuses to reveal, while realizing his feelings for her are becoming dangerously real. In Chapter 17, Georgia and Sebastian's date continues at the barbecue restaurant, where gossiping locals insult their relationship. To shut them up, Georgia boldly kisses Sebastian, and the moment turns unexpectedly passionate. Their chemistry deepens as they share pecan pie and playful banter, but Sebastian admits he's tired of getting things wrong, especially with her. When he asks for honesty, Georgia confesses the engagement ring doesn't suit her, and he surprisingly says he loves that she isn't flashy. Trying to lighten the mood, they gossip together and laugh, growing more comfortable. Later, Sebastian takes Georgia to a Christmas wonderland by the river, where they ride a gondola under twinkling lights. During the quiet ride, Georgia opens up about her ex-boyfriend leaving when she chose to care for her sick grandmother. Moved, Sebastian tells her she deserves better, while Georgia silently realizes she's falling for a man who can never love her back. In Chapter 18, Sebastian reflects on how his relationship with Georgia has grown both closer and more complicated in the days leading up to the wedding. Though affectionate around his family, Georgia remains distant when they're alone, leaving him conflicted. Distracted from work, Sebastian decides to fix what he got wrong, starting with the engagement ring. He visits the family jeweler and has a new, simpler gold ring made to suit her style. When he returns to the ranch, he finds Georgia baking the wedding cake with his nieces, her warmth deepening his feelings. Later, he takes her to the secret garden, now beautifully transformed for their ceremony, and surprises her with the new ring. Moved by his sincerity, Georgia becomes emotional, and the two share a quiet, intimate moment. When she straddles him and kisses him, Sebastian finally gives in, realizing he can no longer deny his desire for her. In Chapter 19, Georgia finally gives in to her growing desire for Sebastian, and they share an intense, passionate night together in the secret garden. What begins as a hesitant kiss quickly turns into a full surrender as Sebastian's restraint breaks, and they make love for the first time. The physical connection is overwhelming for them both, blurring the lines of their fake marriage. Afterward, they lie together beneath the stars, and Sebastian opens up about always wanting what he's told he can't have, prompting Georgia to question if that's why he wanted her. He assures her she's special, but she struggles to believe him, afraid of how real everything feels. Despite their emotional vulnerability, Sebastian stays tender and affectionate, holding her hand and kissing her as they return to the house. Georgia, though deeply in love, knows he'll eventually break her heart, but she can't stop herself. In Chapter 20, Sebastian wakes to find Georgia happily cooking breakfast with his nieces, wearing the new ring he gave her. Her presence fills him with warmth and longing, but the morning takes a turn when Georgia's best friend Melanie arrives with her family and begins grilling him about their relationship. Melanie brings up Georgia's long-term dream of launching a cupcake franchise, shocking Sebastian, who didn't know about it. Though he promises to support her, Georgia becomes defensive, creating tension between them. Later, at the rehearsal dinner, Sebastian grows jealous after seeing another man flirt with Georgia and confronts him violently before taking Georgia to a private bathroom, where passion flares again. Afterward, their argument resumes. Sebastian accidentally belittles her bakery ambitions and Georgia storms off. That night, she reminds him their marriage is only contractual, leaving Sebastian realizing too late that he wants more than their original deal. In Chapter 21, Georgia wakes early on her wedding day, overwhelmed by nerves and doubts. Melanie questions whether she's sure about marrying Sebastian, warning her about his reputation, but Georgia defends him, insisting he's changed. Soon, Sebastian's sisters, mother, and nieces arrive to help her get ready. As the makeup artist and hairstylist prepare her, Georgia struggles to eat and hide her anxiety. Melanie gifts her a lacy thong as a teasing reminder to enjoy her wedding night, but Georgia's emotions are tangled between love and heartbreak. At the secret garden, she hesitates before walking down the aisle, missing her grandmother and wishing she weren't doing this alone. When she sees Sebastian waiting for her, stunning in his tux, her doubts fade momentarily. During the vows, he surprises everyone with heartfelt promises that feel real, leaving Georgia emotional and confused as they're pronounced husband and wife, sealing their complicated union. In Chapter 22, Georgia grows distant after Sebastian surprises her with a honeymoon, confronting him about his emotional wedding vows. Hurt and confused, she accuses him of turning their marriage into a performance. During the tense limo and plane ride, she locks herself away, demanding honesty. When Sebastian finally admits his feelings, confessing he likes her deeply and regrets making their relationship contractual, Georgia softens but questions their future. He admits he might be capable of love, and she suggests they keep pretending until after he becomes CEO, protecting his family's expectations. Their tension eases as they tease and share laughter, rekindling their connection. When Sebastian reveals he's taking her to Iceland for their honeymoon, Georgia's excitement replaces her anger. They fall asleep together in each other's arms, both aware of the growing real affection between them, even as uncertainty about their future still lingers. In Chapter 23, Georgia wakes on the plane in her wedding dress, realizing they've arrived in Iceland. Sebastian helps her change and surprises her by stocking the plane with her favorite toiletries and clothes, impressing her with his thoughtfulness. After landing, they're greeted by a driver named Helgi, who takes them to a local bakery, where they enjoy a traditional Icelandic breakfast together, laughing and relaxing without pretense. When their hotel room isn't ready, Helgi suggests visiting the Blue Lagoon. Georgia and Sebastian spend the afternoon swimming in the geothermal springs, growing even closer as they flirt and share tender moments. Later, they explore Hafnarfjordur, the Christmas village, buying gifts for family and sharing more laughter over local treats and schnapps. As the day ends, they dine together, full and content. Sebastian admits it's the happiest he's ever seen her, and Georgia realizes she feels the same, truly happy with him. In Chapter 24, a few days after their Iceland trip, Sebastian finally convinces Georgia to show him her cupcake franchise plan. She nervously presents her detailed designs, layouts, and financial spreadsheets for Grammy's Cupcakes. Impressed by her vision and business sense, Sebastian praises her work, offering advice and promising to connect her with cheaper legal resources when they return to Dallas. While Georgia goes to a surprise spa appointment he secretly arranged, Sebastian acts on a bigger plan. He calls his contacts to secure a prime building location for her first bakery. He halts an existing corporate lease, orders immediate construction permits, commissions the store's logo, and begins the legal process to franchise her concept under her name, Georgia Peach Cartwright. By the end of the day, he spent thousands to make her dream real, determined to show his love through actions, even if she doesn't know what he's done yet. In Chapter 25, Georgia and Sebastian return from their Iceland honeymoon deeply connected and happy until everything collapses. After landing in Texas, they're welcomed home by his family, but when Georgia goes to find Sebastian, she overhears him on the phone discussing a loophole in their prenup. Realizing he may be trying to manipulate their contract, she's devastated, believing their entire relationship has been a lie. Heartbroken, she removes her wedding rings, steals his truck, and flees the ranch. Ignoring his calls and messages, she drives to Dallas, drops off his keys and work badge, and returns to her apartment where she breaks down in grief and disbelief. Later that night, Sebastian arrives, pounding on her door and professing his love, but Georgia, convinced it's another deception, refuses to let him in. Alone and shattered, she vows through her tears never to trust Sebastian or anyone again. In Chapter 26, Sebastian spirals after Georgia leaves, unable to eat, sleep, or focus. Desperate, he goes to work hoping to find her, but instead discovers she's quit, leaving his truck keys and security card behind. When his parents and brother confront him, he confesses that his marriage to Georgia began as a fake arrangement in exchange for money, meant to satisfy his family's expectations and protect his image. Disgusted, his parents revoke his chance at becoming CEO, and his mother says she's ashamed of him. Though Alexander defends Sebastian's capability, their father refuses to trust him again. Realizing how badly he's ruined everything, Sebastian tracks Georgia down, but she refuses to speak to him. Her best friend Melanie confronts him, revealing Georgia overheard his conversation about a loophole in their prenup. Despite his attempts to explain, Melanie doesn't believe him. Defeated, Sebastian accepts he's lost Georgia, and possibly her forever. In Chapter 27, a week before Christmas, Georgia struggles to move on from Sebastian as he continues reaching out through texts, calls, and heartfelt gifts, including cupcake molds, business cards for Grammy's Cupcakes, and letters professing his love. Though she refuses to respond, she can't bring herself to block him. When Ruby, Evelyn, and Sebastian's nieces visit unexpectedly, they invite Georgia to breakfast. There, Ruby and Evelyn reveal that Sebastian confessed everything to their parents, and his father, Jacob, has refused to name him CEO, calling it a matter of character. Despite her heartbreak, Georgia defends Sebastian, insisting he deserves the position. Later that night, unable to bear the guilt of his lost dream, she calls Jacob directly, pleading for him not to judge Sebastian by their failed marriage. Jacob softens, but gives no promises. Overwhelmed by emotion, Georgia hangs up, wishing she could forgive Sebastian, but knowing she can't. In Chapter 28, on Christmas Eve, Sebastian drives to Georgia's apartment, but finds her leaving for Melanie's house and spends the night watching her from afar. The next day, his father calls him home and reveals that Georgia phoned to defend his character, convincing him to make Sebastian CEO after all. Grateful and stunned, Sebastian rushes back to Dallas determined to see her. When he intercepts Georgia outside her apartment, she reluctantly agrees to accompany him for an hour. He blindfolds her and reveals her Christmas gift, a fully built Grammy's Cupcakes bakery, complete with her chosen design, equipment, and ownership in her name. Overwhelmed, Georgia admits it's perfect, but insists she can't be with him again despite forgiving him. She says love isn't enough to rebuild what he broke. Heartbroken, Sebastian accepts her decision, gives her the keys, and watches her walk away, realizing he's lost her for good. In Chapter 29, Georgia spends New Year's Eve alone until she impulsively walks to her bakery and finds Sebastian there, exhausted and broken. Despite her reservations, she agrees to have dinner with him. They share enchiladas, champagne, and laughter while watching Cupcake Wars, where Sebastian reveals he's been studying the show to learn about her business. The evening turns intimate as they watch the New Year's countdown, dance, and finally make love, both admitting they still love each other. The next morning, Georgia wakes in his arms but panics, sneaking out before he wakes. Her heart aches, knowing she can't let him go, yet can't trust him fully. When she receives a reminder about their annulment appointment on January 2nd, she assumes Sebastian still intends to end things. Heartbroken but resolute, she emails his lawyer, waiving her claim to any money, and signs it Georgia Cartwright one last time. In Chapter 30, Sebastian wakes to find Georgia gone after their night together. Desperate, he goes to her apartment, but she doesn't answer. When he later learns she confirmed their annulment appointment, he refuses to attend. Huck informs him Georgia already signed and waived the $1 million owed, saying she didn't want anything from him. Refusing to accept the end, Sebastian transfers the money and deeds her condo anyway. Unexpectedly, Georgia arrives at his penthouse to return them. When she insists the annulment was their agreement, Sebastian confesses he meant his vows and will not sign, declaring his love again. He challenges her to deny her feelings, and though she tries, she can't, finally admitting she still wants him as her husband. Sebastian vows never to hurt her again, and Georgia kisses him, accepting their future. He places her wedding rings back on her finger, sealing their reconciliation. Epilogue. Nearly a year later, Georgia celebrates the grand opening of a new Grammy's Cupcakes franchise in Austin. She thanks the crowd, the new franchise owners, and especially her husband, Sebastian Cartwright, for his unwavering support. Their relationship has grown stronger, built on open communication and mutual respect. Sebastian has found balance in his life, spending less time at work, while Georgia has learned to speak up and clarify misunderstandings, helping them both heal and grow. Surrounded by family and friends, Georgia reflects on how full her life has become since meeting him. After the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Sebastian praises her success, reminding her it's all her achievement. Their playful banter ends with him whispering suggestively that he plans to show her how proud he is, hinting at the continued passion and partnership that define their marriage and their shared future together.